Hi, today is the 4th of February 2025. My name is Minna Crichton. I'm the narrator of this video clip and all my other clips on YouTube. All right, so I'm going to actually continue with the evidence. So my YouTube channel contains evidence of my personal testimony, whether it's professional, my court cases, and my private life. But today I'm going to be talking regards to the insurance. Let's have a look. Just one moment what we're looking at today. Life insurance in 2010. Okay, so I just need you to keep in mind I am a left behind case. Okay, so there's been a lot of serious violent offences, incidents that is consistent in my personal profile, which is my personal entity and my property. So this here is basically, it's just to describe that this here would be me being the tortoise, and then this is the opposition. They are cheating. They have the upper hand of everything. So that is the only reason why everyone thinks that I've lost and I've won, is because once somebody's privacy's breach is gone, it's really easy for them to control and manipulate everything. They do have the actual upper hand. Okay, but at the end of it all, the individual is actually being used for a pecuniary advantage without their consent, because there's nothing in my personal profile that actually clearly articulates anything to say that I consented to what's happened to me. So anything to do with the courts or anyone working in the government, the whole idea is that they perform their legal duties under the Crown Entities Act 2004, which is honesty and integrity. Okay, so this here it's actually a code of conduct, and this is what everyone is measured on in regards to anything when there's a formal investigation, whether these people have actually conform to the laws that they are legally obligated to do, but that's why it's so important to do your job according to the laws, because that is what you will be audited against. Okay, so we're talking about secret societies joining forces. So I'm the one that's actually exiled, and historically there's a clear case that is what has happened. I'm in a lockout situation, and so we've got secret societies monitoring us and surveillancing us. Okay, so the crimes that usually happens with us, with what I've gone through, is directly and indirectly, but their intention is like they can't touch us or hurt us, but they are out on a mission to sabotage and just do things without getting caught. So they call themselves shadow people, or the zombie zone is what they call it out in society. But it is real. They are doing exactly what they represent themselves and how they've coded themselves. They've also coded themselves like a cat team, so yeah, if you've been watching all my other clips, those are the kind of coding that they're actually using to communicate with each other. But in saying that, regardless what people does secretly, when things are in the courts, the legal system, integrity is actually what everyone is supposed to be adhered to, and meaning that that they're not being biased or prejudiced. They aren't actually meant to be showing any form of partiality. The problem is when your privacy's gone, and like with what I've gone through, clearly I'm being micromanaged. But it is organised crime. After a while, if there's been serious violent offences clearly in the person's personal profile, that's a Category 4 case. Okay, so we're looking at this here. Is dilatory tactics a criminal offence? This here is a method that I have found when I was working for the courts that lawyers actually use to try and buy time. Okay, so when you're a left behind case like mine is, the opposition has always had the upper hand. They're just using different people each time to sabotage me, or to impede rescue, or to sabotage when I do go and submit my documentation. So they've always had the upper hand, and I'm the one that actually has been disadvantaged. So while we're on that topic, when people for example, my court cases with everything that I've gone through when they've sabotaged me, legally by laws, the people in the courts are actually not allowed to actually do what they've done to me. It's illegal, okay? But when they actually do it, according to the law, they've actually conspired to defeat justice. That alone is 7 years imprisonment, right? Because they're not allowed to, whether it's the police refusing to investigate, or even just the courts doing what they've done to me, lying to me at the counter, giving me misleading information, and basically telling me wrong information, and telling me that I had to do certain things which is not even true. They were misleading information, because I have found people in public office have made up their own their own thing, and they're not actually being honest. And so that's very difficult for members of the public, because you're expecting them to be honest. But when there's a consistency of that kind of acts, it means that they've actually conspired to defeat justice. Like, for someone to actually do their court cases, they're trying to get themselves out of a serious situation, and that's why we have courts, to allow individuals to have cases against those that are causing them grief, or for the purposes of protecting their own property, whatever that may be, or any other grievances that they may have against an offender or a defendant. Okay. The other one is definitely in my case is impeding rescue, and that alone comes under 10 years imprisonment. So unfortunately, my government, or people within my personal profile going back to 2010, they've breached this law. Okay, when I submitted the protected disclosure, all these laws that I'm actually focusing on applies, and it is definitely Category 4 case. But when people at the counter are not being cooperative, or turning you away, or telling you lies, or just not cooperating, what I have found, they've done that to actually impede rescue. They've actually sabotaged me, or told me lies, and then I'd go home. But they're actually buying time to have a sneak and see what I've got, so it doesn't go to the judge. That is what they're doing, and that is what they've done to me historically, and it's not fair. But That is what dilatory tactic is. It's what lawyers actually used to do in court when they like they like to go shopping for different judges, because they know one judge is stricter than the other. They want to win their case. But that's why privacy is so important. And that was just part of my role. These are the kind of things that I had to do when I was working for the courts, was to control the privacy of the judiciary and the system behind the scene. But that is what impeding rescue is, and that's 10 years imprisonment. So now everyone involving my court case all fall under those charges. So bear in mind, it's a Crimes Act criminal case. It's not even a civil case, even though they had the opportunity to actually resolve it at civil, because the reason why we have civil is for corporate bodies and individuals, if they want to take their civil case to the civil, the whole idea of the civil case is to give them the opportunity to resolve it before it goes to criminal. Majority of the time, the cases that actually do go to civil is actually criminal. But in saying that, the civil jurisdiction is for people to actually resolve cases like mine before it goes to the criminal. I already knew it was a criminal case, but because I worked for the government, my first step is actually go through the civil and then the criminal, but then the civil jurisdiction still has the authority judge to actually transfer it immediately to the criminal. But they have split up the system, and they've said things, it's an employment court issue, but it's not. It's too serious to even be an employment court issue. So what I am dealing with historically, it's quite clear that they have defamed my character, assassin my reputation and my character and my work ethic secretly. So I've actually used Henry's and I's relationship as an example, because now I'm outside, it's quite clear how they're actually doing it by the misuse of devices, and then the relationship scam, doing smear campaigns secretly. So it's quite obvious that these kind of methods would have taken place historically. But they're actually tipping off their people to sabotage, and that's the kind of set of circumstance, a lockout set of circumstance I've been subject to historically by myself. But they're basically trying to make out that I'm the one that's mentally insane. I'm the one, so everything I'm saying, that versus the actual person that they're using as a substitute. So they're basically, the people that I found that they've used as substitute do link to my court cases. That's serious, okay? That is an unfair fight, but that is exactly what has been going on. So that what I'm going through, you may be going through it too, but the whole idea for the public deception, the public are looking at how you look under the camera, whether you're fat or skinny, to choose, then the system's whole idea is about appearances, and then they're grooming the younger generation, or somebody younger, but they're usually using somebody in your private life that may still like you, and then they're trying to turn it into a love triangle, and then everyone gets involved, but they don't know they're actually being lured into a big trap down the line, and that's exactly what's happened. So their idea is that I'm the one that's actually mentally impaired. I actually had this conversation with one of the Crown prosecutors, that their evidence is actually impaired because they had no evidence. And they didn't. I actually won the court case. So what we're dealing with today is integrity on the surface and under the surface, okay? Integrity has nothing to do with appearances. It's got nothing to do with race or culture or colour, whether we're black or white. Integrity is what has been submitted to court, whether it's the truth or it's lies. So I've just used this because we are in a multicultural, diverse society. So it doesn't matter whether these people are surveillancing and monitoring us, they still have an obligation to maintain the integrity of of the government. But I have found that the people have used their jobs for the wrong reason to help the opposition win their court cases. So basically, this here is just saying, are you honest behind closed doors? Because you just never know, something might happen, and and the evidence reveals that you're not. Okay, so what I've been up against is a global game involving relationship scam, and there's a lot of competition going on historically, but legally by law it is called a Ponzi scheme. Okay, so I've just kind of like written here what it actually means, but it is a trafficking ring, and it is a real game, but it is cyber espionage. And it's actually quite serious, very serious for the originals. So the reality is what happened to me did start when I was working for my employer, but the relationship scam is like a Game of Thrones. They turned my life like a Game of Thrones. Little did I know how serious, and how I knew it was serious, but I didn't realize how serious it was secretly going on behind the scene until I've gone through everything that I've gone through. But now I can actually confirm that all these things has taken place upon me since I worked for my employer. So I am definitely like the exploited victim, and the exploited person. They already know everything about you. They've been studying you while you're working under the camera, and then they've already made links with people in your private life, and before you know it, you're actually people are secretly breaking the law against you. But it is a Game of Thrones where those that become the original, everyone's in on it, and no law is what I have found. They've broken every law in the legislation. And then on the surface, we've got, all this deception going on in favour of those that is being used, to set up Henry or whoever as the other, whoever the men is in my personal profile. So it's actually called animation, or animate or inanimate. So, but that is what they have done to me historically. But it does involve the government, and that's quite clear that they've been all inciting too. So they've all kind of like walked in their own traps, and everyone's in trouble now, because it's so easy for people people do things that they don't even know they're breaking the law, but according to the law that they have actually broken the law. Okay. So before I get into my actual specific topic, just bear in mind that this is what it looks like. Visually, this is what's going on. I can't see the opponent. They can see me. And then they're just, doing their thing when they go out in public or behind the scene. But eventually, they're actually switching. Their whole idea is to steal, all right? And it is definitely indictable offences. In a lot of my cases, a lot of the facts and incidents in my case proves that that's exactly what has happened. All right. So the topic that I'm going to be talking on today is my life insurance policy going backwards to 2010. But before I get onto the original facts, and me just bringing these facts to life, this is what the scientific experiment involves of somebody that's actually been exploited. I knew in 2010 that I was being exploited. I knew that people were lying to me. I knew that someone was, I felt someone was going to try and murder me for my organs. Yes, I did. But only because the signs were there, but it was like my word against theirs. But I knew something was radically wrong. So I had to suffer in silence and ride things out and stay alive. Okay, so, but secretly behind the scene, this is what is happening. And they're also before they actually murder you, they want to take whatever they can get out of you before you actually die. But they are, right, as far as I've been concerned, they've used my brains. They've wanted to study how I think, and they've actually, competed against, my court cases have been a competition against the Crown. And so every time I win, they're cheating secretly. I mean, come on. You call that a fair fight? I don't think so. It's very shameful what they've done. But that is that is my experience. And then they're actually relying on the public to help the Crown win. And then to my shock horror, I hear the defendants inciting to let their people know that they're in trouble and to help them. Can you hear that? That's them listening to me and they're pissed off. So, yeah, they do use sound effects. It is threatening and it is intentional. The police used to be able to just you ring the cops and they'll come and investigate, but they won't because everybody is in on it. And I'm not scared of them either, by the way. And so, but their threats are real. But the pain and suffering is real, and I also can understand why some people are too scared because they don't want to be cyberbullied by these people. Or if somebody doesn't do anything about it, I mean, what is the point of having laws? But yeah, so I'll just carry on now. Okay, this here is the statement of claim that I did to the New Zealand, who's the defendant in this one? Ministry of Justice. This is my employer, okay? What I'd done is I'd actually put everything in sequence and in order. Now, it's quite clear, just looking at the document, it's like, oh my gosh, that is really, really, really serious. So they've all kind of because they already know that everything I'm saying is true, and I'm outnumbered and I've been used globally, everybody already knows who I am. But anyway, everything is consistent, okay? So in 2010, I knew someone was trying to steal my life insurance, right? I had a life insurance policy, and here it is, you can see it right here. And it was, I did it because I was a single mum with 3 young children, and I come from a humble beginning, and that's my set of circumstance. But I was a single parent with 3 young children, and before I had them, life wasn't easy either, but I had determined in my heart that I wanted to break the cycle of, drugs and alcohol, and just wanting to giving my kids a better opportunity, a better way of life than what I had. And so I endeavored to do that while I was working, through all the difficult times I'd gone through with a difficult marriage. We had nothing in common, and it was a dangerous marriage, and I had a final protection order on it that I used to use to keep him away from me and the kids because he was into the drug world, drug and alcohol. We had absolutely nothing in common, and I knew he lived a secret life to what and there was a conflict too with him. With my job, and then at that time I was going to church, and then he it was really bad, and I just wanted to cut that out of my children's life because I don't want my kids to grow up in that environment, because he had a druggy problem and he was smoking drugs in front of them. He just wasn't, and he was causing me a lot of stress, and and he was unfaithful right from the beginning. It was just horrific, all right? I'm a Christian. So if anybody tells you that you have to stay in a relationship like that for better or for worse, you are not being a good parent staying in that kind of environment, because, I was in that situation, and if I had stayed there, I probably wouldn't have made it. Keeping in mind, I did try to commit suicide. I've already showed that evidence because it was that bad for me. But anyway, I did use the protection order, and it was final, and it kept him away. And so for over maybe 18 years of my children's life, they didn't know their father. Like Houston, I think he was 3. Houston grew up with no dad. So it was a very difficult situation But anything he's ruined with his relationship with his children at that time, it was his own doing. Whereas Kim and Danny probably saw all of it, but Kim and Houston were young and they didn't grow up in it because I'd cut him off. He had nothing to do with their life. Because, I had a rough upbringing and I felt that the environment, my priority were my children. And I wanted them to have a better, to have a life without the dramas of being involved in drugs or anything like that. That's why I did what I did. However, when we did break up, he left me with all the bills and the kids, and then I ended up having bad credit. And then I managed to clear all that by myself while I was working and ended up with a good credit again. But I couldn't afford, I knew I could never give my kids the world as far as materialistic stuff, okay? My kids missed out on a lot of things, so... they learned to appreciate the little things, and when I could give them, something, they appreciated it, and we just worked really hard together, and I was so blessed to have good people in my life, supportive good people in my life back then, and my kids were actually really good too. I was really blessed with that. So, but I wasn't able to provide them with all the materialistic things. I had all the normal things, like I bought myself a nice car, work, and that was all I did, was work, family, and church. But I had decided, because I couldn't afford the materialistic things, I could never afford it, because, my focus was more on providing for them at home, and then if you've had kids, all the other things that come with the concerns of kids. So I was very involved in their life until I had to split them up. But what happened was I decided to get a life insurance. A life insurance policy, because I thought, oh well, I'll leave that for them, because if I die, then my kids will have that. And so I did. I got my life insurance. I put an insurance on myself, making my oldest son as the beneficiary, because my culture is that, but that was just, he kind of is like the right hand man of my home. He was my right hand man, and I was so blessed to have him. And so I had that life insurance policy for him, but then I also knew that I knew somebody was trying to steal it. Okay, so amongst all these things going on in 2010, and these are the facts that are coming live, right? I had this life insurance. So there's a Unison dance crew thing going on too. That all happened in 2010. But this year too was, I was outnumbered. I was pinned down. I was tightly twinned and glued by the opposition, whoever was behind it. So I actually put this life insurance policy. The life insurance policy itself, I had it for oh my goodness, maybe about. I started it when I first worked for the government, when I did Department of Corrections, and that would have been about 2000 and maybe 2000. That was why I did the life insurance policy. It was purpose for my children. So I had all these facts here. I had all the facts laid out, right here. And then I submitted the evidence. I mean, for me, this is really serious, this is evidence in court, and they do nothing about it. But anyway, I submitted the evidence and documentations. Here it is. And this is how much my insurance policy was worth, right? And I knew someone was trying to steal it, and they did. So all I could do was, at that time, just keep complaining. Keep a documentation. Here's the insurance policy. And I usually like contact the insurance policy to send me, because I want to update, make sure everything's correct on the policy, because I have found over the years, when I ask for an update of my policy, they've given me a policy with a different details on it. Right, so you can see quite clearly here the beneficiary was my son. This is the address, but I had the policy for a very, very, very long time. And so this is how much it was worth. So it was worth quite a lot of money, but that was out of my love for my children. Okay, and like I was like, I'm pretty good too with budgeting, and everything. So I'm really good with money, because you have to be when you're trying to home manage a home and 3 kids and all the bills. So I'm pretty good with all that. I'm good with money. I'm not actually a materialistic person. I'm quite happy as long as I get what I need, and I'm fine with that. And but I did pretty well for myself, as a single parent, considering with everything that I'd gone through. But I knew that that somebody was planning on stealing, and they did. So one day I actually rang the policy, life insurance policy at Westpac, and they sent me this, right? It's almost like the people mock you, like they know they're going to steal off you. So, and they know no one's going to investigate. So they easily can mock you in your space. And they've done that to me, mock me in my space. But now I'm going to put a stop to all that. And that's why I'm going in the, public in the moment now. And this here came with this person's name on it instead of, I didn't know who this person was, so I knew someone was trying to steal my life insurance right here. Okay? So keep in mind, I'm pinned down in my home. People are secretly coming into my home. I knew it. And then I'm going through what I'm going through with all my court cases. But this here's clear evidence this took place. Okay? And so, so this here is actually in court as evidence to prove that there's been real serious fraud going on, that people were actually secretly stealing off me. Okay? And then, so here's the policy. And I'm pretty consistent. I'm very good with money, and I'm actually very consistent. I'm very disciplined with a lot of stuff. And then this also took place around the same time. Okay, and they stole that off me too. So the other thing that I have found, also, I did make a complaint to the Westpac to let them know that people were stealing my life insurance. And just, even the letters to Westpac is all linked to my profile. All right. And just before I actually finish this clip, okay, we will finish it soon, I'll just quickly show you photos of my 3 children. Right, this is Houston. This is all 3 of them. It's Houston, Kim, and Daniel. This is Daniel getting married to Joanna. This is just photos of them before they got married. These 2, they actually met at church. This is Kimmy. It's all 3 of them. This is Danny and Houston. Houston's pretty strong. I mean, Danny's bigger than Houston in some aspect, but Houston's actually quite a strong boy. This is Kimberly. That's Kimberly. And this is Houston and his beautiful wife, Molly, and Baba. Okay, so this here is me. There's just this. I thought I'd just focus on this here, where it says where your heart is where your treasure is. And this, I got this obviously from a quotation from the Bible. I actually truly believe this verse in this verse, and I believe that it's actually talking about the Holy Spirit. It's actually talking about the God within you, the Holy Spirit. And I have actually learnt to actually listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit. And there is a price that you actually pay, for what I've gone through. I've paid the uttermost suffering. I don't even know what you want to call it, but I don't believe that I'm meant to keep my testimony to myself. I believe God wants, anything good about us belongs to God. Nothing belongs to us. Is actually, everything we own on this world, it actually belongs to God, and my life and my testimony belongs to God. I'm a little bit emotional because it's quite rare. It's quite raw. Everything's raw because I'm talking about real life incidents. But yeah, I just thought I'd finish it on this note here because I so believe in the Bible. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so everything that you actually see on my YouTube is actually the real me, real everything. And it is definitely a human trafficking ring that I've been subject to. The whole idea is that the perpetrators or whoever's behind what I'm going through, they are exploiting victims and secretly stealing or using them for free money, which is illegal. Okay, and it does have the penalty of 20 years imprisonment. All right, we'll finish this clip at that. Thanks.